This is one of the biggest cars BMW have released in the last, I'd nearly say decade. And I truly mean that because this new iX3 is sustainable, it's got loads and loads of tech, it's got decent range, it's got things like 800-volt charging architecture, but the price for that badge is actually not crazy. I'm not saying it's not expensive. The M Pro Sport version is nearly €80,000, but have a look at the competition and have a look at the fit and finish of this car and the whole thing of a BMW, and then it doesn't seem too bad. I've actually had a look at this car in Munich already. You may have seen it on the channel, but today it's in Ireland for a little while, and I want to have a little poke around it. And unfortunately, and I'm sick over it, I can't make the international launch of this car in a few weeks as well. So it'll probably be March, unless I get over to the UK, until I get to drive this car. So let's have a little look around again today here on Nobby on Cars. One thing BMW have in spades is heritage. And today at the presentation, they showed us the lineup, including the E30, 3 Series and the 2002, which you can't really forget when you see this grille. Yes, it has a modern twist on it, and you'll only get that grille as standard on the M Sport Pro version. But not too long ago, we had these huge big kidney grills. Think of this current 7 Series. This is quite small by comparison. There is a bit of a frunk underneath here. It's quite usable in terms of your charging cables. A couple of pulls on the release inside will bring that up. And then on the front, we have these air curtains also. So there's 3 different trims. Here's the price list detail. The walk right up to the M Sport Pro is €5,000. That doesn't change the powertrain or the brake horsepower, anything like that. So essentially you're paying for additional trim. Now, what does the M Sport Pro version get you over the M Sport? Well, slightly different wheels, things like red calipers instead of blue ones. There's bigger bolsters on the seats. And there's actually a thinner steering wheel on the M Pro version. And the reason for that is, now, as you can see, this is a totally different steering wheel that you will have seen on other versions of latest BMWs. But the idea is the M Sport Pro version is thinner. Now, BMW over the years have been famous for their feedback as you drive. And I got the sense they were saying today that they may have lost that with chunkier steering wheels, which we've seen on all of the M Sport cars. So now you get more M Sport, you get less steering wheel, but according to BMW, you'll get more feedback through the steering. This car in theory could get you over 800 kilometers. Always have to take the WLTP and take a little bit off the edge of it. But what it does have for sure is 800-volt charging architecture. So if you get the right charger, and they are getting faster and faster all the time in Ireland, you'll be able to get over 300 kilometers into the range in 10 minutes. So checking a couple of emails because you've been driving on a long journey. Yes, you can fill up a petrol diesel car quicker than 10 minutes, but in today's busy life, whether you need a coffee, a toilet break, or to follow up on emails, 10 minutes isn't really a huge amount of time. Obviously, that faster charging will cost you more money, but nonetheless, you can do it in very, very decent speeds. And that's kind of all what I'm hinting at in terms of the price, the value, the charging speed, the range, the interior fit and finish of the car, which when you add it up on paper then seems like quite a decent proposition. So some of the bits that I find fascinating about this car is it's 20% more efficient. The battery is in the floor of the car, the cell-to-pack battery setup. And it makes the car obviously drive better because the battery is as low as possible into the vehicle. But things like recycled PETs, so plastic bottles, ocean waste, stuff that we've been hearing about for quite a few years. But what's interesting is the entire seat fabric is all PET because at the end of life of the car, if there's different compounds in it, it makes it more difficult to recycle. So BMW are thinking ahead. How long that ahead is the $1,000,000 question. You know, I've only been looking at classic BMWs on the internet today, still worth an absolute fortune, that are 30 and 40 years old. Will an electric car have the same durability? That's the question that everyone wants to know. Looking at the rear of the car then, so more of the black high gloss on the sport version of it. The rear taillights, lovely and chunky, in my opinion. Maybe not everyone's going to like them. I like the way they're kind of integrated into the shoulder line of the car. Should also point out that there will be more affordable versions of this vehicle coming in 2026 with smaller batteries, so a little bit less range, but certainly the price then we could see one of these cars in the €60,000 mark, in my opinion. And I suppose when you compare this to the Even the X3, the interior, for a lot of people is going to be nicer. It's going to be something that they just feel is a bit more akin to what you've come to expect from BMW, so less plastics and things like that. So to look at it, particularly on the nose, where we've had huge kidney grills, I think this thing looks a little bit better. Another big selling point for this car, in my opinion, is the amount of interior space. So if you have teenagers, they will fit here. They will have space for their heads. They'll have space for their legs and feet. Yes, it will be a more comfortable two-seater car, but if you pop up this armrest, it's definitely a three-seater bench. And because there's a flat floor in the rear, because it's a ground-up EV, again, it adds to the overall feeling of spaciousness. Not to mention the light that you're going to get in, despite this being in a hotel function room. But I can imagine on a nice bright day, there'll be lots of light flooding in. So boot space is 520 litres in the back of the iX3. Someone has removed the parcel shelf just for ease of poking around the car. And if you need to hide stuff in the net area, you can. The rear seats fold fully flat, so if you're loading things through, there's no lip on the middle bench, so just easier for putting bulkier items in. So that is the boot cover underneath, so it actually fits under the floor. Again, that's been a big kind of annoyance with so many brands where that cover has to go back into the house or somewhere, but you can tuck it away nicely down there, and there's still a bit of space. And this is also as well alongside the front as well, don't forget. So really good size boot. The interior is much different to what we've seen before. A nicer steering wheel, a nicer mix of plastics and recycled material. But the biggest thing is this 3D display that is at the lower part of the windscreen. It wraps right around the car from pillar to pillar, so your passenger will also be able to access this screen. This car is fully autonomous driving. They explained to us how they tested it on the Autobahn in Germany for hundreds of kilometers without having to touch the steering wheel, and was still very aware of surroundings and advised on lane changes. So autonomous driving, if that's something you're interested in. Obviously a lot of people are very happy to still be in control of the vehicle, but it's something that the car needed to have, because things like the Tesla Model Y are something that could potentially show up new vehicles in certain areas, such as autonomous driving. But the interior, very, very nice. So in behind me in that room is where the iX3 is now being tucked away and put into bed. The price, I think, is pretty good. Let me know what you think in the comments. So it's starting from 73,925, and then it's a €5,000 walk to the xDrive M Sport Pro, which is 463 brake horsepower, 4.9 seconds to 60, 790 kilometer range officially. Loses 3 kilometers versus just the standard 50 xDrive. Not a bad price. Now, there was someone from a leasing company here today, and they were explaining to me how appealing this car is going to be to business owners and lease customers. Because of the range, their budgets generally will well fall within the price they'll be able to get that car for. But things like the BMW iX, whether you're a leasing customer or not, you might ask yourself, well, why would you want that car now when you can get this with more range? Arguably a better looking thing, arguably in some ways a nicer interior, and obviously it's just the latest version, so people will always want it for that reason too. So if you're waiting on one of these or considering pulling the trigger, let me know. Again, apologies, you're not as annoyed as I am that I can't make the international drive of the car in a few weeks, but when I do get a chance to drive it, you'll be the first to know, and maybe you consider subscribing as well if you're interested in more brand new car related content. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.